Hello, Gino here, and you are listening to Otherworld Connections. We live in a critical time where now, more than ever, angels and fairies, hidden forces, are bursting at the seams of the veil to work with us. They want to see us change in order to save the world and live in service to others. So join me on a journey to empowerment and enlightenment with an angelic angle and a fairy focus, looking into ways to improve our current situation, morality, archetypes, solutions for self-healing, and spiritual sciences in light of theosophy and other occult traditions.
Hello, welcome to Otherworld Connections. Yes, indeed, you're tuned into Revolution.radio. In today's show, I'm going to do some dowsing card readings. Why? Because I love doing it. That's why. And I want to start doing more of what I want to do. I think it's important. Yep, that's what we're doing. I'll talk a little bit about that. But yes, this is the number one listener-supported internet radio station in the whole world. It's amazing. Your donations keep this alive and going. So please consider donating. Those of you that do donate, thank you. And please consider continuing to donate. There are ways in which you can do that. You can donate through Patreon. www.patreon.com/revolutionradio. That's where the sign-up page is. All the links to ways you can donate are found on the homepage at revolution.radio or the donations section of the website on revolution.radio. You can donate via snail mail. In US currency, you can make a direct payment to the station's credit union's online banking system for United States residents in Canada only. You can donate with cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash. You can donate through DonorBox, an international alternative to PayPal, worth supporting just for that reason alone. DonorBox.org/revolution-radio. Oh, you say dash, right? Advertising on the home page. An additional method of fundraising for the station is the capacity to place an advertisement on the station's website for the very reasonable and extremely competitive sum of $25 a month. And a reminder that you'll find the link to things I read or refer to in the show in the description of this episode once I figure out how to upload to the website without making loads of mistakes. Because Julia is the tech whiz. And I've got to just get it right. I've just got to get it right. You can check it out. Check me out on YouTube, otherworldconnections.substack.com, Odyssey, Rumble, and the blah, 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 blah podcast platform. You can listen to me blah, blah, blah when you're driving. Wouldn't recommend it. That sleepy, just woken up, got out of bed tone. So let's figure out what to do. What is the best thing to do? How to heal, how to change, how to achieve goals, and live successful lives of service by making those otherworld connections. All right, so these dowsing cards. Here we are. Got them up on the screen. Just going to double check on Discord. Okay, nothing's happening there, which is a good thing concerning my transmission. So, dowsing cards. Guess how I found out about these? That's right. through dowsing. all the cards that all the tarot and oracle cards and stuff that I have, all of it's just through asking questions and dowsing. That's how I got into all of this stuff. So the dowsing was my gift. So the story goes that I, being the idealistic person that I am, I went into early childhood teaching, and I did that for 5 years. And in my quest for knowledge and truth and understanding how the world works, I started to get synchronicities, signs and symbols, serendipities, auguries, so on and so forth. And to a point where I could not ignore them. I did ignore them for a while. I thought I was losing my mind. And yeah, and then so I started discovering, or I started becoming interested in, researching that, understanding that, decoding symbols or looking into symbolism and stuff like that. I was gifted a pendulum by our friend, Julia and I's friend Margot. She was just house sitting. We went online and we wanted to find a house sitter while we went away, and she was a house sitter and she became our friend. And she gave me a pendulum, and I thought, oh my God, you're absolutely mad. What the hell is this, and what am I supposed to do with this? Literally. And now I'm a dowsing freak. And thanks to Margot, she persisted. She said, have you tried the pendulum yet? Have you tried the pendulum yet? And when we'd see her, she said, have you tried the pendulum? I said, okay, I'll try it. And I got hooked, and that was my hobby that's been my hobby, part of my hobby. So yeah, radiesthesia, radionics. We'll have to do a show about radionics at some point. All mine is purely intuited. And so that's kind of frowned upon. It's a bit like outsider art, right? There are outsider artists that are great, but because they're not really connected to anything, any kind of organization, any fraternity, any kind of clique, scene, group, that sort of thing. Because of that, their art is, well, discounted. Not that I'm saying what I do is discounted, I just do what I do. But what I mean is, I may not use the devices and that in a way that you would use it perhaps if you read books and went on to Facebook groups and argued with people online about it. So it's non-conformist radionics and radiesthesia. I do recommend a pendulum to people. It's fantastic. But the reality is that, like learning styles when you're a child, everybody is different, and I guess up to a point, right? Because we're all human beings at the end of the day. And what I mean by everybody being different is different people prefer going about things in different ways. And so, the pendulum and the dowsing, that sort of stuff is for me, but also it's underutilized in the sense that everybody wants to be the guru that knows better than everybody else. They want to be on the top of the heap. I know this is moving into New Age territory as well. All of this stuff is kind of, in my opinion, kind of co-opted by the New Age movement, when really all these things are really tools for human beings to use, because we are intuitive and we are living in a symbolic realm. Everything's symbolic, and there are otherworldly energies that wanting to work with us. Hence the term, hence the show, Otherworld Connections, and this is about connecting with that. So we can be moral, so we can know that there are objective spiritual things going on that we can align ourselves to, and then we don't need things like, and if we understand the rules and understand that everything, that we are connected and yada yada yada, then we don't need politicians, we don't need police, we don't need all these made up things. And those are unseen things, like what makes a policeman more authoritative than, it's just a uniform. So real magic as opposed to black magic kind of thing. Yes, so dowsing cards. So yeah, dowsing, and that's what I got into, and it is like it's considered much like, say, animal spirit guides. These are considered like very teeny bopper, right? Maybe I do identify as a 15-year-old girl. Or my tarot cards and my pendulum, candles, incense. It's crazy. But the dowsing pendulum, and the pendulum is considered a very like a basic, like so much so that most people skip it. And I've talked to people about it, and they wonder what kind of questions I ask, because they just think, oh, pendulum, no, that's basic and that's for kids kind of thing. And I'm much beyond that. I've got way more intuition than that. And it's like, but you can get answers for all kinds of things. All the things that you don't really feel like you have control over, you can ask. And people say, oh, was that kind of controlling, letting someone else make the decisions for you? In a sense, it might be. But I see that it helps you with indecision, okay? And bring it back to morality. Once you understand the rules, you know a bit about the Hermetic principles, you know a bit about natural law and what's right or wrong. Well, you're kind of empowered now to be able to do whatever you want, because now you have this objective discernment. So I'm not going to ask if I can do things that I know I don't want to do, I know I shouldn't do. I know that that's wrong to do. Hope that makes sense. But here we go. Dowsing for... I basically spent way too much time on the pendulum. And, I would ask sort of like, are there any spiritual tools that I need, and that sort of thing. A lot of the time was spent trying to figure out what the right questions are to ask. So I did spend a lot of time chasing my tail a little bit. But I found these just through dowsing. Should I go on a website? Is it kind of cards? And, sometimes I'll get it spelt out what to do and where to look. And then eventually I found these, the dowsing cards. And this is my favorite deck. I don't use it so often, but nevertheless, it's still my favorite because I douse what deck I should use. And I'll show you. The box here. What I really like about it is, here's the interesting thing. So people that do tarot reading and stuff, like hopefully you do too, and you know what I'm talking about. They have a favorite deck, something that speaks to them, feels good in their hands, that sort of thing. Well, mine is this. Mine is this deck, the dowsing deck. And obviously the pendulum, we chose it for me. That I'm coming from a place of, yes, I want to do these things and I want to explore. But here's the point, is this is a very, very no frills. That's actually a very cool card, like the design. I'll show you that there. It's very, let's face it, I do like that they drew, this is obviously pre-AI image creation, but someone's done relatively basic graphic designs on the computer. Basic, that's a bit of hubris from me. Like, I couldn't do better, but they're quite rudimentary. And the cards are obviously like, if you went onto a print shop and asked them to print out some cards, it's a very, the cards feel like a cheap playing deck. That's what I'm saying. And you can spend hundreds of dollars for one deck of tarot cards, and it's on some super magical, shiny, glossy card stock with, I don't know, with gilt edging and stuff like that, like pretty out of control. So at first I was like underwhelmed a little bit, and then once I put them in my hands, boy, they feel good. So interesting that my favorite cards are dowsing cards. That's all I wanted to say. Well, it's not all I wanted to say. I'm here for an hour, so oh no. Let's just read this introduction. So this also, here's another thing. So I bought this deck of cards, and this is a lady called Barbara Menezes. I wouldn't know who the heck or what the heck from anything. It's just hunting out which cards for me online and through, a little bit of spell it out for me, and then finally finding it. This took me a long time to find these cards because I don't know what I'm looking for, right? Pura presencia. Pura presencia. I think that's how they say it in Spanish. It's probably more like pura presencia. Barbara Menezes. She's Spanish. I bought the cards. A couple other little things. And this was during the lockdown. Dirty old COVID-19. Anyway, she sent me an email. And here's the interesting thing, because I have always been a little bit ambivalent about these things that the pendulum's been pointing me to, because I've always associated them with New Age BS. And some of these things come across as very New Age to me, because we associate all these kind of things with New Agey type people. Anyway, she sent me an email, and she basically she was kind of fishing. I don't know if she wasn't going to give me the cards or not, if I was. Anyway, she was anti what was going on in the world, and I was very surprised, because that was a lonely time for a lot of us, for a lot of people. And she said a few things that were blatant, out in the open, and I thought this lady's taking a big risk and quite, brave, for lack of a better term, to let her customer know that, what's going on is a whole load of this, that, and the other thing, right? The point of what I'm saying is she could have very easily lost a customer, because the crystal shops, the tarot shops, they were the first to shut down. They were the first to sell masks. I'm serious. They were the first, and they didn't know what to do. Their number one customer, Gino, at the time, didn't want to wear one, and he wasn't allowed in the shop, and they were wondering how they were going to pay rent. Oh God, that was at a time I was my what little disposable income I had was going into these kinds of things as I was building up my repertoire. Yes. So from Barbara Menezes, the creator of Pura Presencia. Introduction. We have created one of the first dowsing cards in the world in order to help dowsers to work in combination with their pendulums and these cards, and to determine through two forms of testing the most suitable dowsing actions to undertake in their sessions. This is the first deck in a series of decks we plan to create. Each card alludes to a dowsing correction or action or a necessary vibration to transmit to our client. Imagine that, having a client and you have a pendulum. There are people out there doing that. Boy, would I love to do that. I can do that. I've got it up on Buy Me a Coffee. You know the thing I can do? I can find out what foods you're allergic to. True story, swear to God. I can do it. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Seriously, I can. And I'm lucky enough to have had a few people in my life that humored me and allowed me to do a little chart for them. And yes, some of the ones that had food sensitivities that they knew, those came up on the chart. So that's my little gift to the world. And that's from trying to do the right thing in the world. That's from working with the kids. So I keep bringing that up. But the point is, that's the whole secret kindergarten thing, which I do. You can tune in. It's a show for kids on Saturdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Studio A, Revolution Radio. The whole point of all that is, if there are toddlers, young children in your life, they test your patience, they get you to the end of your tether, and when you're at that spot, the idea is to dig deep and to be more of service to get better outcomes for the kids. Because that's where you are truly caring, because you're kind of sacrificing yourself, you're pushing. It's a bit like going to the gym on the day that you really don't want to and pushing through those reps. And that's when you really get the muscles. Okay? And to get your intuitive muscle, you've got to really care about things and push through and try and do it. And parents are often finding themselves in the theta brainwave state. You've probably heard Bruce Lipton talk about that a lot. A lot. In theta. So the young children are in theta. And you're in theta when you haven't had much sleep and you're trying to get about doing things, and, the kids are blooming busting your chops. And that's theta. And in that state, if you start engaging more with the kids who are in, who have the other world connections, who are in God's hands, who have that, they're in touch with that fairy realm, that angelic realm, that power, that's when good things start happening to you. That's when, as in, encouragements and symbols and signs, and also your intuition develops. And then these tools you can get into, and these tools are for people like you that care and want to do right in the world. That's what these tools are here for. Yes. Okay, so shall we just do a reading, shall we? How have time? Half an hour. Well, let's go for the method of use. Let's see what they suggest. Now, I don't recommend reading methods of use. I recommend just getting amongst it, because the way to go about it that works best for you is going to find itself for you, because you're just doing it in exploration. But the method of use suggested here, we can use this deck of dowsing cards in two ways. Shuffling the cards, as in a normal card reading, focusing on which card or cards our client needs at the moment, and selecting intuitively the necessary card, and then working on the given topics. Number 2, the pendulum selects the cards that we need. And it does that by... run your pendulum over that. It's basically a pizza, a pizza shape, wedges and circles within circles, and every little segment has a number. All the numbers of the cards. So you can dowse that too. Run the pendulum over there. And I got my little it's my other world's connections pendulum here. Very rudimentary. A stone with a string. And so it shall be, because I found it with my other pendulum. And that's how it goes. It just goes on and on. Okay, but today I'm going to shuffle the cards. All right. So, I have decided to... let me just bring up... Excuse me. No, wrong one. I wrote down a question. Okay. So one of the themes, and one of the most important things, in my opinion, at the moment, is about balance getting things back into balance. And I did want to talk about the Ahrimanic force, through Steiner's lectures. I don't know if we'll have time. But basically, here I am online doing this, and social media, so we're talking Facebook, we're talking Instagram, we're talking all these things, Telegram, chat groups, all these things. Social media is very materialistic, and it is Ahrimanic, and Rudolf Steiner warned us about all this through electronic deception that brings us out of balance. And this is what we're living in now. We're in like an Ahrimanic kind of age, and Ahrimanic being hypermaterialism, and the on the other hand, on the other side of the scale is Lucifer, and Luciferian is very immaterial, like thinking. And so you don't want to be overthinking, and you don't want to be over materialistic. So it's about balancing, and that's something that's misunderstood about Rudolf Steiner's teachings, is that we can't do away with Ahriman and we can't do away with Lucifer, but we can bring some of these qualities into a sense of balance and humanize them and be better human beings. And social media brings us to the opposite of thinking, just reactive and doing and seeing things in a hyper-materialistic way. And what I mean by in social media hyper-materialistic is you join a group. That means you hate all the other groups. Or say you take a photo of you eating an apple, and now all the banana group people that like bananas are your enemy because you're the guy that hates bananas. But all you're doing was just eating an apple at that time. So one statement or one photo becomes the totality of who you are and who you live for and what you stand for. Hyper-materialistic. You've manifested a doctrine. You've manifested a way of life just from one little statement or one little comment. And now you have no friends. You're just poor little boy on your own eating an apple because everybody hates you because you're the anti-orange person. You're the anti-watermelon guy. And this is the Ahrimanic force. So the question today for the reading is, because this is full of solutions here. And I'll tell you, let me tell you, if you are on Facebook, you spend time on Facebook. If you're on Telegram and chat rooms and you spend time there. If you're on Instagram, you spend time there, you are being affected by the Ahrimanic force. And if you spend a lot of time there, you are 100% going to be out of balance with the Luciferian force, and you need to get that back into balance. Well, you don't need to, but I say you do. God says you do. Natural law says you do. Just reality says you do. If you want to live a balanced life and be happier, because you're coming in line with, your human self. So yeah, easier said than done. And what we're going to get to the bottom of today with the radiesthesia cards, these dowsing cards, is how we balance out spending too much time on social media, because for a lot of us, that's where maybe a lot of our connections are and stuff, being in the sort of truth community, and that sort of thing, or the natural law community, or it's a pretty lonely place. And you might be spending more time online because you make connections with people that aren't in your country, or So this is also going to help with that. This is going to help with relationships too. All right. So, with that in mind, just blow on the cards. How do we bring ourselves back into balance from spending too much time on social media? I'm shuffling the cards here. All right. So the first card here, disinfo, doubt and confusion. Number 25. So obviously These are the things that are being created. Let's find what they say in the book here. Number 25. Make sure that's coming up on the screen. Yes, so disinfo, error, doubt, and confusion. Number 25. This card invites us to ask among these options, which of them is affecting our client or ourselves at the moment? If we have fallen prey to misinformation, we can clean our subtle field of all false, erroneous code and reconnect with the truth of our essence and the universal and absolute truth that always strengthens and centers us. Okay. The error can be the results of wrong thoughts, wrong conclusions that have led us to making decisions and hasty conclusions that are not beneficial. Does that sound like social media engagement much? We can clean our field of errors as a computer cleans itself of erroneous, obsolete codes. Doubt can trap our clients and paralyze them in some area of our life. And it can be due to issues not resolved by him or the result of manipulation of information, to the point of confusing the person. We can work to reduce those levels of doubt through dowsing commands and to cut the connections with those manipulative forces that sow doubt in our client. Becoming aware of who they are and why they generate doubt in him. Confusion can be cleared from the subtle field of a particular person from the mental layer of the aura, the third eye area. We can use radiocetic colors to help cleanse ourselves of confusion and confusing information. Indigo is a good color for it. We can introduce the vibration of coherence into the subtle field of the person. Well, long story short is, I take these cards really as telling me a story or speaking a paragraph to me. And the start of this paragraph is, this is all concerning spending time on social media, or in my opinion, it's too much time. And let's assume that if you are spending time on social media, it's too much, and that's okay, because we're going to figure out here how to bring it in balance so you can still do that, okay, without suffering. Okay, this is about not needing to suffer unnecessarily, I suppose. So yeah, so spending too much time on social media is giving us disinformation, causing us to perceive things in error, causing us to doubt others and ourselves, and create confusion. And it's bringing those energies into our life, because that's what the Ahrimanic force does, or an imbalance. And same with the Luciferian. If you think too much about things, if you're overly inactive and just ruminating on things, that causes you to disinform yourself and create errors and self-doubt. And on the other side, hypermaterializing, being very reactive and that sort of thing, causes those kind of confusions too. So, that's the effect, according to the dowsing cards. All right. So I'm just going to check if it's all these cards. I got a whole bunch in my hand. All right, it is all of these cards. So, the first card, I just got a little chunk of cards in my hand here. So this card is portals, openings, vortexes. I always kind of, I got to say, I do cringe a little bit every time I pull a card, because it just seems very, very new agey. How are we for time? Yeah, we're going to get this. We're going to get this done. So portals, openings, and vortexes. This card tells us that somewhere in the subtle anatomy of our client there's a door or portal, an opening vortex that should not be. These could be opened by negative energies through agreements, contracts, vows, promises with groups, organizations, individuals, and situations. Okay. Well, let's read the rest, and I'm going to say my bit. We have to close these openings and, if necessary, place protection to mechanisms so that they do not reopen. The best way for them not to open is to find out why they are open and for the client to be aware of it. Revoke vows, agreements, promises, and use our intention every day to keep those doors closed until our system has been trained to not open itself when triggered by entities, agreements, organizations, etc. So there are two aspects to this as far as I'm concerned. The first one is the disinfo, the error, and the doubt. The first card we pulled, the effects of spending too much time on social media are because of, at least in the language of this lady in the pure presencia, and this is a sort of, I guess, a dowsing type view, that it's opening up. So obviously it is, right? If you're, somewhere inside, the self-doubt and stuff is being allowed to come in, right? So a portal, as a way to put it, is, I know it's kind of just a little bit like woo-woo talk, but a door is opened to allow these things to come in. So spending time on social media, that's opening these kind of pathways for these things to happen. Negative entities to come through. So when I do ask about stuff to do with online and internet and stuff, it always does bring it brings up the conspiracy that, there is some demonic kind of entity going on in the internet kind of thing. It does always bring that up when I ask, even if I don't use these cards. Part of it is a way to identify these things and to bring the language down to be able to talk about it in a more succinct way and to get to solutions, rather than having a 3-hour Jordan Peterson style debate about things just to say it's the bloody demons inside the computer, mate. I do think it's a little bit like that. But we are talking about the Ahrimanic force, so perhaps it is the Ahrimanic force. Perhaps it is this Antichrist thing that people talk about going on with, technocratic dictatorship or something. Nevertheless, a way to look at it for this reading is we are opening up a portal for negative entities or energies to come through, and this is through groups and organizations, individual situations. Well, the world is very tribal now, and that's because of social media. Absolutely. You couldn't not agree with that. I mean, if you spend time on Telegram, you're in a group. You're part of an organization. You join a club. And the most successful people in the world, not that you need to be successful in terms of, the matrix, you have to just have lots of money and own all these businesses and invest in the stock market. But a lot of these people have a rule not to be part of, believe it or not. I know there are the fraternities and stuff and the secret societies and that sort of thing, but a lot of them... Oh, my camera's walking away from me. A lot of them have a rule not to get involved with any kind of organization because I can't explain it, but I think you might know where I'm going, because many people do talk about this and hold this as a rule, but it stifles your thinking. It stifles your freedom of expression. It stifles your individuality. It starts imposing rules. You start imposing rules on yourself, and you start preventing yourself from growing and developing. You kind of put yourself in a cage, so to speak. For lack of a better term. And so as one door closes, perhaps another door opens, is what I'm saying. So joining in these sort of hive minds, these closed off and tribal hive minds, inside the overly Ahrimanic social media space, is opening up portals that are causing disinfo, error, doubt, and confusion. All right. And so we don't need to read the thing off the book, but I think it's quite cool. But so now we're moving to the solution. And there we go. Source, God, spirituality, connection. So we need to do more of that. Oh, I can't seem to get the camera to focus. There we go. So it's number 39. Source, God, spirituality, connection. And there's a picture with blue sky, some clouds, and an old school telephone with a heart on it. And I've been getting telephone symbolism in the last couple of days, believe it or not. And that's not, you can take it pretty far, right? You can just look at your phone and be like, oh my gosh, telephone symbolism. So you don't want to be looking for it. You don't want to be one of these people that tries to find the the synchronicity. They come to you, right? And I think that's where there's a lot of confusion. But let's go to number 36. No, 39. Source, God, spirituality, and connection. This letter can have us... This letter can have us review the client's connection to God, source, their connection to their spiritual path, and make corrections to assist them. Much of our online course in warrior dowsing is aimed at helping in that sense through deep work and energetic spiritual background and structure corrections. The work may consist of eliminating dense energy, implants, negative entities, programming that affects, limits, damages the client's connection with the source, as well as the resolution of traumatic experiences of the past, the revocation of votes, promises, limiting agreements, etc. Some of those words, some of those terms there are syncing with what's going on with the portals, and the openings, and the vortexes. Okay. So pretty on point reading so far. Pretty good reading so far. So getting back to connecting with God, source, and their connection. And I like that the word connection is there because this is otherworld connections. So you could say you need to watch more otherworld, you need to listen to more otherworld connections to find solutions. A good one just off the top of my dome is to do the tapping. You check out Tapping with Brad on YouTube, and he'll probably have too much time on social media. All right, shall we go to the next one? Yes, we shall. Okay, the next card. Personal objects, belongings. And there's a picture of a chair. There's a picture of a sort of, perhaps a lounge setting or a bedroom setting. There's a clock. There's there's like a little drawer, there's a lamp, a chair, and a house plant and a light. Personal objects. Okay. So let's see. I mean, my first thought, just before we read, because I've given my first thoughts, is I'm thinking about materialism. But I'm also thinking, I do know, oftentimes I get in a reading or a session that there's something that's going to help. Something that you have in your house that can help you with this. But it might not be. But that was my first thought. My second thought was, we've been talking about hypermaterialism, and now it's talking about personal belongings. And so yeah. So personal objects, belongings. We can detect an object or belonging that disturbs the energy balance of the person. I know what this is. I'm telling you now, it's probably going to be your clothes. So take off, stop what you're doing, take off all your clothes, and get back to God, okay? Loincloth is okay. A tab of acid, a few tabs of acid, a loincloth, off you go. Go and connect with God. We can detect an object that disturbs the energy balance of the person, and I can do this from jewelry. The problem with this is, and this is the problem with dowsing or trying to help people through things like that, you know, the person's got to be okay with being told what to do. Because people go, Gino, can you ask this? And I do that, and they're like, oh, not that. And it's like, well, what is that? And oftentimes it's going to be something you don't want to hear. Or say if it's like to do with a belonging, maybe it's something you're attached to and you've got to give it up and you don't want to give it up. You know? No one likes their doctor telling them to quit smoking or quit drinking or quit doing this or you've put on all this weight. No one wants to hear that. Especially from like someone that's dowsing, right? They're not like quote unquote qualified. But I think this is where the world needs to go and what the world is demanding as the Ahrimanic force gets higher and higher. I'm just going to give Mr. Ernie Dog a treat because he's been really good. Good boy. There you go. There's a golden tendon for you. Dried beef tendon. Ugh. He loves it. That'll keep him occupied for 30 seconds. All right. So, could be jewelry, decoration objects, glasses, inherited objects, photo albums, antiques, objects of deceased people, wedding rings, household clothes, curtains, sheets, blankets, and this makes me think of paganism and shamanism and stuff. Very big on the energy that objects hold. So I'm just wondering if it's going to be good or bad. Let's see. Do not forget about electrical appliances. Electronics, technology objects that could emit harmful waves. We ask until we find out which object affects the client, and we keep asking what solution we can give, such as, hey, I do wonder, just a quick aside, probably just got time for this, is like, I'll just check, are there any more cards to do? No. Okay, so we've got time. As I do wonder is like, so it's the internet, we're all connected, right? So if you're on the internet and then someone's watching you on the screen and they're like, I hate this effing loser, why don't you just blah, 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 blah. I wonder if the computer amplifies that in some way. So yeah. Electronics, technology, objects that could emit harmful waves. We ask until we find out which object affects the client, and we keep asking what solution we can give, such as clean the object energetically, or raising the vibratory frequency of the object, or harmonizing the object using a radiesthetic color. We can use essential oils or auric sprays specialized in cleaning. Each dowser will provide their solution based on their training in dowsing and work tools. Yep, I knew it. And the reason I knew it is because I have discovered this as a thing previously, and now I've learned how really hard it is. But it's synthetic materials that you wear, okay? And I'll tell you, we've got 5 minutes. Oh man, there's so much to unpack, and this is very exciting for me. But I'll tell you that, believe it or not, because these solutions really seem. I'm going to do more of this because this just really yanks my crank. But I'll tell you that the solutions are unorthodox. They seem very far removed from what we're talking about, but if you think about like the situation with social media, if you're going to buy into this, as in if you kind of are intrigued and you want to do something about this, well, think about your aura, right? Your electromagnetic pulse, all that sort of thing, the thing that connects you, and think about clothes. Like, what role do they have with that? Well, I tell you, definitely, like without a shadow of a doubt, and you can prove it, that polyester, nylon, all these synthetic materials that you're probably wearing right now, I'm probably wearing, this is definitely polyester. See the Sherpa material, Sherpa lined jacket. It's cold down here in the middle of winter. That's polyester, but underneath I've got cotton protecting me from the polyester. In terms of touching the skin, is it ideal? No, but the solution here for today is to reduce the amount of synthetic materials that you wear, especially touching your skin. Now, do you get static, little static shocks when you touch, say, the oven or something, the microwave or the car or something like that? Well, that is because of you not being grounded. And to be grounded, it doesn't require clothing. As in, you need to go barefoot on the ground. I keep bumping the camera. So, on one side, the solution is to do earthing, and the other side is that polyester is bad. They're kind of the same. They're one and the same. They're in the same family of solution, because you need to be connected with earth, and connecting with earth is what's going to help you connect with spirit. So one way of looking at it, just from one card, right? Earthing is good, but the big one, don't wear polyester, because that creates some weird energetic thing on the body that makes you get electric shocks everywhere. And one of the problems in the kindergartens is, and this is where I do think there is a an evil system that creates through, whether it be negligence or just people being driven by money, or maybe there are string pullers that make sure that these things play out in the early childhood centers. Is you've got AstroTurf, you've got spare tires chewed up all underneath to create a soft landing, but those tires are creating weird growths and sores and boils that the doctors can't find a solution to on the kids. True story, seen it myself, get them myself. Go to a tire shop and kneel down on a rainy day and kneel down in a puddle and see what happens to your knees. Do that and see what happens to your knees. You're going to get boils on your knees, and they ain't going to go away for months. I'm telling you. Ask someone that works in a tire shop. Ask someone I haven't, but trust me, ask them about boils, and do you get them? And are they weird? And your doctor doesn't know. So I'm just saying that, the early childhood center, everything around in the early childhood center is completely designed to de-earth, to unearth the children. So there you go. So get rid of that polyester, go natural cotton, and make that spiritual connection as an antidote to spending too much time on social media. There you have it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, I love you guys. See you at the next one.